By the way, do not include Ebola defense money. And I got to tell you something. An ABC liquor license is a highly valuable asset, and anyone that owns one has an asset in place for their business. And in cities like San Francisco, an ABC license can go up for $500,000. In places like Mountain View, it might go for $35,000. In places like Fresno, it'll be like whichever junky illegal immigrant can go apply will get one.
Okay.
But when we're outside of Modesto, when we're outside of Fresno, and we're in Mountain View, it's 35 grand. We're in San Francisco, it's $500,000. And here's the thing about an ABC license. There are so strict rules on owning it. If it turns out your brother is a criminal enterprise, you can't own one. If it turns out one of the owners of the company, oh, by the way, I only got caught with selling 10 kilos of Coke. Guess what? He can't have one. It's got to be people that are all straight. Now, the problem with that is when people earn a liquor license, it becomes such an asset that people treat them with such care. So now,
okay. So anyway, okay. So here's the thing about liquor license. You can buy a liquor license for the same location you're at, or you can transfer a liquor license from one location to another.
Location.
Okay. And so, okay, now you have to fill out an affidavit with the ABC, and that you have to tell, you know, and you have to show actually that it's clean money, that the money you're investing.
Well, you have to have a background of the money. You have to trace the money back to show that you didn't. Oh, by the way, hey, I gave you some money. Where's my license? You got to have real money.
Well, what happens is what they don't want is front people setting up liquor businesses for the mob.
Okay.
So what they want is they want to see a trail of the money, how the money was earned. They want to, and it includes your spouse's background. If you're filling it out, also your spouse is going to have to fill out the affidavit. And
are you trying to tell me if your spouse was a hooker for 10 years and she was part of the ownership of Red Book and all she did was make millions of dollars being a whore, that money wouldn't be any good?
I'm not sure if that would preclude you, but that would be a case-by-case basis.
That case-by-case? But Red Book, by Blue Book, by Green Book?
That'd be a case-by-case basis.
Oh, that means that as long as she's not traced back to be a whore who's made millions of dollars being a whore, that money would still be good.
Well, like I said, that they probably take that on a case-by-case basis.
Well, what about bank robbers? What about if you rob a bank?
I think what they're looking at is like if you're a manufacturer of liquor, right? And then you want to be a retailer, they don't want that because they don't want manufacturers controlling retailers. So those are some of the connections they're looking at because they don't want you
trying to tell me what if I make my home brew and I want to sell it?
Well, yeah, then I think you'd lose your license. Yeah,
I lose my license.
Yeah, well,
if I wanted to make my
actually, but that might actually be a tied house.
What if I had my Mexican mafia guys in prison make puna and they ship it out to me?
But I mean,
can I sell that?
In some cases, you could be a tied house. In other words, you could have the retailer tied to the manufacturer. But in most cases, they want to make sure that the manufacturer or the distributor is separate from your retailer.
Well, I got a question. What happens if you work for a distributor of alcohol and you own a liquor license in a different company?
Well, that might be a conflict.
Why is that a conflict?
Well, it's because that would be linking manufacturers or distributors to a retailer.
Is that illegal?
It would be a problem with the ABC, yeah.
Well, is that a case we should really follow through on?
Yeah, and so...
have you ever heard of such a case?
Yeah, those things happen. Okay, so those are some of your disqualifying issues. So they're your conflicts of interest or disqualifying issues. Okay, and another thing about ABC is that they'd only want people over 21 drinking. So they send a lot of decoys out to go ahead and see if they can trick a purveyor or a retailer into selling.
I know. They send in a woman that has low-cut top, nice hard nipples, looks like she's 21, and she goes, "Oh, you can trust me," as she leans over the counter. "All I want to do is buy this 6-pack of beer." And when the guy's thinking about, well, nipples, breasts, beautiful, you know what he's going to do? He's going to sell that 6-pack of beer. And then what's going to happen, Mark?
Well, then they'll lose their license.
Lose their license? How are they going to lose their license?
Well, because that would be...
Because nipples ain't a cop.
But that's that could be a decoy.
It could be a decoy.
Right.
Okay, so I have a question. Nipples is laying over the counter. What happens? Does the cop come running in and say, Nipples, back off. We're arresting this guy for selling you beer.
Well, usually what they would do, they'd issue a citation, they bring you for the hearing, and the decoy would show up at that hearing or do an affidavit or a declaration.
Okay, but the problem is, what happens if it? How many times does that take before Nipples gets you busted?
One time.
One time.
One time.
Okay, but how many times does it take before Nipples determines that you can't sell alcohol anymore?
One time.
One time.
One time.
No, that's a little incorrect because sometimes they send in, depending on the liquor store, sometimes it's a gay guy, so they'll send in a gay guy.
Right.
And sometimes they'll send in Nipples to a younger man to have Nipples do it.
But I'm saying the point is selling to someone, if you don't ask for an ID, and then there's certain rules of exactly what kind of ID you can accept. Can you, it's supposed to be a picture ID, but there's a military ID, okay? So you would have to ask them. Now, if somebody came in, even a decoy, and had a pretty good fake ID, you might not lose your
That's
license.
what I was getting to.
Yeah.
What happens when the guy comes in and he's an ordinary looking guy, he's got a mustache, a beard, and he's buying a Jack and a six-pack, and he says, here's my ID, and the guy looks at him and says, Jesus Christ, this is a real ID. Okay, good. You're old enough to buy.
Right. So that would be
now,
the
what's
that
the
was
story there? Isn't that more of an entrapment situation?
No, but the thing is, you would have to ask for an ID, and it depends on how close the ID is to a real ID. You might get some leeway if it's pretty close.
Well, wait a minute. The IDs today, they have the holographic on the
Right.
on the driver's license, and they also have identifications on it. So what if you have a guy that comes in who's actually only 19, but he has an ID that's totally a 21-year-old 19, not 19, but 21-year-old
Right.
look, and he gives that to the guy? Is the liquor store owner going to be caught dead for that?
Well, he would have to explain it if that was a decoy.
Explain it.
And so he would have to say, well, I reasonably believe that was a perfectly good ID.
Well, you realize there's another part of this going on right now. It's called the tag and help.
Yeah, there is a new
The
tag.
tag and help. It's like if you or I went to a liquor store and we're obviously old men,
Yeah.
and then somebody comes up and they say, and it could be Nipples or it could be some gay guy or whatever, but they come up and they say, oh, please buy me alcohol, and they do some deal, right?
Right.
Okay, that seems to be the big thing they're pushing
Yeah,
on
it's a
now,
big- yeah,
because
there's the
so
tag.
many people are helping people underage buy alcohol that it's becoming epidemic.
Well,
And-
I don't know if it's any more epidemic than it ever has been, but there certainly is a prosecutorial
Well, I'm
push
gonna
for that.
I'm going to be honest on the show tonight. Look at me straight in the face. When I was 17, I was able to grow a mustache, and I looked like a Juan Valdez kind of guy. And the bottom line is, I twisted it out, walked in, threw the beer on the counter with the money, and I did it in many liquor stores in the city I grew up in, and nobody thought anything about it. Today, they're sending in people that look like they're not even 18, so it's like they're making it so easy for you to go, no, you're no good. But is that a fair deal?
Well, I think that there's some rules about they have to be reasonably close to 21 or something. There are some rules on what the person looks like, but I think the main thing is you're supposed to actually ask for an ID for every single person.
For every person.
For every
even
single person.
Less than 25.
Yeah, for every single
Anyone
person.
less than 25, they're supposed to ask for an ID. So
So-
it becomes an automatic process.
So whether they look like 22 or 21 or 19, you're supposed to be asking for
Okay,
an
well,
ID.
so that, you know what?
and there are several different types of IDs they can accept and some that they
Well,
can't.
yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, Mark. I'm a big proponent of people under 21 should not be drinking. And I'm thinking that people under 21 cannot handle alcohol. I don't care what the football game, homecoming game, and everyone's 18 and they're all drinking and partying. As far as I'm concerned, this starts at school, it ends at school, and it goes to home. And if I'm going to tell you right now, the cities in this area, Mountain View, Los Altos, they're enforcing the arrests, and they're making the parents pay when they have a party with alcohol.
Right.
But that's not the problem. The parents have got to get a grip. They've got to stop allowing their kids to drink.
Well, that's hard for parents to do. But so what the ABC is trying to do is and other things that ABC is besides trying to keep people that are under 21, they also, you can get in trouble if you got a liquor license, if, people are out on the sidewalk being rowdy, if there's associated crimes like prostitution and drug dealing and that kind of thing, you can lose your license.
Well, all I know,
for that
Mark,
kind-
is right
which is a
now,
disorderly
I
house.
think parents hold a stronger responsibility to stop their children from drinking. If their kids are drinking at home, you're out of here. If you've got a beer at home, my God,